Hi everyone, my name is Rudra Sekri and welcome to the Astropods. Today we have someone on the show who loves to share their passion for the night sky with his community through astrophotography and joined us on the podcast to inspire you to potentially get involved in astrophotography. This talented person from Canada believes that technology is available at our fingertips, and with enough time and dedication, even you can become an astrophotographer. However, due to pressing issues in astronomy such as light pollution, he is concerned that our view of the night sky will never be the same. It is my utmost pleasure and excitement to introduce Craig to the Astropods. Thank you so much for joining with us, Craig.
Thanks for the great introduction, Rudra. It was my pleasure to come on the podcast and share some of my views when it comes to, astrophotography and the hobby in general.
Thank you so much, Craig. I believe your perspective on astrophotography is really inspiring, and the way you mentioned that, how you got into astrophotography through optical astronomy, is just really fascinating. And this actually leads us into our second question, which is, well, how did you get interested in astronomy and astrophotography?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that story it's usually a good story for anyone in the hobby to share. And everyone kind of has their own connection and unique situation. In my case, living in northern Alberta, Canada, it's somewhat remote compared to, say, like a large city situation. So the work I was doing at the time, which was this was roughly early 2000s, I was doing night shifts, and one of my coworkers basically just brought a telescope to work one night and was kind of showing us guys that were working different things, and it was that view of Saturn. Just happened to be that time of year. Saturn was a good position, and just seeing the rings around Saturn through an eyepiece, it just kind of blew my mind. It kind of looks like it's not real or something, where it's just hanging out there in the blackness of space, and that was it. I was like, oh, I need a telescope, and eventually acquired my own, and just started down the path of experiencing the different aspects of what can you see in the sky, and that's the interesting thing about especially living where it's much darker, is you're able to see so much more up there, that it's easier to see objects. You see more stars. It's nice that way, and I kind of took it for granted, I guess. Before, I didn't realize so much that so many people don't see anything when they look up, other than the reflection of all the streetlights type thing. So it was good. From there, I kind of went down the road of, I got one telescope, and it was actually I started with an 8-inch like an SCT, so it's like a mirrored telescope. Nice views, and compared to the sort of 80 millimeter standard refractor, that most people have, that you buy at Costco or something like that. But an 8-inch SCT is a pretty decent scope, and it still is, and you can see a lot of stuff with that. And it was a Celestron scope, like a lot of people start with. They're a pretty big dealer, so spent a lot of time with that, a couple of years, and then I decided that I might move up to an 11-inch scope. So I kind of upgraded to a bigger telescope, and you just see a little bit more of everything, a little bit better detail in the planets, a little more of the galaxies or nebulas, and things are just a little bit more details. And the problem is, as you get bigger telescopes, they become harder to use, because they're just so much bigger, right? Like, I'm a young guy, so moving them around isn't as big a deal, but for some people it is. And you get kind of limited to what you can see based on just the ease of use. And then the bigger it gets, the more awkward it gets, the longer it takes to set up and tear down. So you find after time you're not using it as much as you'd like to, just because it's it takes more time. It's more, difficult. So from there, I kind of decided to, well, maybe I'll see if I can take a picture of what I can see through the telescopes. And I had bought a smaller 80 millimeter refractor that I mounted sort of on top of the 11-inch scope, because it's really tough to take pictures through an 11-inch when you're starting out, just because the focal lengths are so long. So if you think about it in terms of maybe zoom, you're really zoomed in, and every little error or issue is magnified, right? So if you can zoom up back, i.e. use a shorter focal length telescope, you get a better result when you're learning. So I tried that, and the first image I ever took, or picture I ever took, was of the Orion Nebula, which happens to be one that a lot of people do because it's pretty popular. And it was minus 25 outside, and me and my friend were out in the driveway, and we were taking this picture, minus 25 Celsius too, and we're I'm playing with everything with gloves on, and it's freezing, and trying to keep the frost off everything, and to be honest, it turned out pretty good. And I was just blown away by the colors and stuff that I got out of that image, and then kind of that led to the whole astrophotography thing, because it was like, well, what else can I do with this? What else can I take pictures of? Yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually have that picture right here, so it's a kind of a neat.
Oh wow.
I don't know if it's going to show up on a screen.
I think it's blurred. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, we got a little bit of it. Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have to
I think
send you. I'll just send you the JPEG.
yeah, I think I've seen that image before online. There's a lot of people who take images of the Orion Nebula. It's very popular. And also, just on the point of negative 25 degrees Celsius, if you're from America, just like we don't know which part of the world you're living in. Like, please just use Celsius, Americans. Anyway, continue, Craig. What other objects have you been looking at over the past few years, and what are some of your favorites? And describe them for me in like colors, and some of the stuff which you discovered that you previously weren't expecting.
Yeah, so I mean, so on the photography side, when you start getting deeper and deeper into taking pictures, you realize very quickly that the quality of the mount that your telescope and your camera is sitting on is very important, because the Earth's moving, so your target is moving continually. It doesn't stop moving. So in order to take a long exposure of that object, you need to be able to tracking it like perfectly for a very long time. So I found out very quickly that my equipment was really good for visual astronomy. It was great for that, but for photography, it kind of wasn't what most people would use for a photography setup. So I started migrating that equipment slowly to a more dedicated photography setup. And in doing so, my images just got better and better, which was nice to see, and it was very rewarding. So I like going back and looking at my early images. It's still neat to think that just the memories they bring back and that sort of thing. But I would say my favorite image probably right now is the ones I've done of the Triangulum Galaxy M33. I don't know what it is about that one, but I like that galaxy, the way it presents itself, and it's kind of the Andromeda is a pretty popular one, the M31, simply because it's the largest in the sky. However, the M33 is part of our local group of galaxies, and it's quite large itself, and it kind of gets overshadowed, I think, by Andromeda in a lot of cases. But it's a little bit more challenging of a target as well. So it really tests your abilities. I just did the this season I got about around 10 hours or so on it. So it was pretty good.
Wow.
And it turned out quite nice, in my opinion anyway. But
Oh, nice.
yeah,
It seems really fascinating to hear all these like terms such as focal lengths, refractor, reflector, telescopes, and we'll be going more over those just later in a separate episode. Check that out if it's already there. Um, but it's really fascinating to see your history with astronomy and astrophotography. Thank you so much, Craig. Make sure to subscribe to the Astropods because we will be having more people just like Craig joining our podcast to share their expertise in their respective fields of astronomy. And have a great day.